All right, today I'm going to be discussing a method of finding a point of intersection between two lines. So a linear system is essentially a set of two or more lines. Now in grade 10 math, we're only going to be doing two lines. So when you have two lines, if they have different slopes, what will end up happening is you'll get the two lines intersecting, and the point of intersection is called the solution to a linear system. Okay, so the whole goal of linear systems is getting the point of intersection. Now, if you have two lines, what you can do is you can plot them, and if you plot them, you can read off the point of intersection. However, there are cases where you can't actually do that. For example, if the point of intersection is at a very awkward point in a coordinate system. So, for example, if you have a point of intersection that happens to be decimals that aren't readable, it would be hard to infer what the actual POI is. So what do? Sometimes graphing isn't the best method. Sometimes you'd have to use an algebraic technique. And that is the subject of today's video. Today's video, we're going to be talking about one of those methods called substitution. Now, substitution just essentially means plugging in. We have to be plugging in something in order to do substitution. So your first step is to isolate for a variable if necessary, okay? Because sometimes you might have a question that has one of the equations with x equal to something or y equal to something. You want a letter by itself. Now if you notice, here's the two equations. This one represents a line, the top one, and the bottom one also represents a line. These are two separate lines. Now if you notice, none of them have a letter by itself, but you can force one of the equations to have a letter by itself. Here's what you should do. You should look at the letter that has the smallest coefficient beside it. Now in this context, x has the smallest coefficient beside it. I'm going to isolate for that x. I want x by itself in that top equation. How do I do that? Well, I'm going to move 2y over in the top equation. And what do I get? Well, I get x equal to 5 plus 2y, and I could have also written that as 2y plus 5, no problem at all. And then what you're going to do next is you're going to put a bracket around 5 plus 2y. You see, what this statement tells me is that x is 5 plus 2y. So guess what I'm going to do with that? I'm going to take this bracket and I'm going to put it right there. I'm going to replace that x with bracket 5 plus 2y. I'm going to replace it, which means that x does not appear anymore in that second equation. So I'm going to show you what you get. 3 bracket 5 plus 2y minus 5y plus 7 equals 0. So all I've done here is I've replaced x with bracket 5 plus 2y. Now, if you notice, if you look at the equation that I formed out of equation 2, I only have y left. And that's an equation that I can solve from grade 9. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. See, the first thing I can do here is I can distribute this 3 in, meaning multiply that 3 in. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So what do I get? I get 15 plus 6y minus 5y plus 7 equals 0. The next logical step is to collect any like terms and solve for the indicated variable, the variable that's left. In this case, it's y. So 15 plus 7 is positive 22. And then 6y take away 5y is 1y. In this case, I'll just write y. 1y and y are exactly the same. And then I'm going to move 22 over, and then I get a solution for y. I've solved y. Y is actually equal to negative 22. It is negative 22. Okay? So that's that. I've only found half the information. Now the reason why I've only found half the information is I'm trying to find a POI. And a POI has two coordinates, x and y. I've only found this guy. I know that that guy is negative 22. So how do I find x? Well, let's see. I've got two equations, and if you notice in one of them, I isolated for x, meaning that x was 5 plus 2 times y. Well, I know what y is now. Y is negative 22. So guess what? I'm going to plug that guy in. So I'm going to put a bracket around it, and I'm going to say that x is equal to 5 plus 2 bracket negative 22. I'm going to replace the y over here with bracket negative 22. And what do I get? Well, I get 5 take away 44. And what does that turn out to be? That turns out to be negative 39. And so what I've found is that my point of intersection between those two lines, without graphing, is negative 39, negative 22. And there you go. That is the method of substitution. Now, if I wanted to check my answer, no problem. I found the value of x and I found the value of y. All I have to do is plug them in separately into the original equations, the red and the blue. And all I have to do is show that left side equals right side. I could do that really quick right now. Well, x is negative 39. Y is negative 22. I should get 5. This is negative 39 plus 44. 5 on the left and 5 on the right. There you go. And what about the bottom equation? Well, it says 3x, and x is negative 39, so that's 3 bracket negative 39 minus 5 bracket negative 22 plus 7 equals 0. Now what is 3 times negative 39? Well, that is 3 times negative 40, which is negative 120, plus 3, so negative 117. And what is 5 times 22? Well, that is 110, so it's positive 110 because two negatives make a positive, right? And plus 7, and if you notice, this is 117, positive 117, and this is negative 117. They're going to perfectly cancel. And I'm going to get 0 equals 0. So there you go. That is the method of substitution. I've checked my answer, which means that I am absolutely correct. And it's an algebraic technique when you have either really nasty numbers for your POI, decimal-wise, or they're really big, and graphing is just super tedious, right? And just remember that if you want to check your answer, you have to plug in your answer into both of the original equations. So if you notice, I plugged them into the red and the blue, both, and I got 2 checks. So if you're checking, you have to actually get 2 checks. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed it. If you learned something, leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Have a good day. Peace out.